Hello, Thrivers. It's great to see you here today. Thank you for joining me. And if you're watching the replay, I am excited to be here with you. So welcome to Monday Motivation. I have a question for you. So if you've ever said yes when you really wanted to say no, have you ever done that? Or if you've ever ignored what your body, your mind, or your spirit was telling you because you just didn't want to let someone down. Or maybe you didn't want, you just acquiesced because you were just giving in to someone else's expectations. Or you just pushed yourself because you wanted to feel strong even though you didn't. This message is for all of those things. I have felt all of them at some time in my life. So today's message is called Let Your Values, Not Guilt, Guide Your Decisions. My name is Terry Sturt. If we haven't met previously, I am a wellness coach and an author, and I'm also a 2-time breast cancer survivor. And I've learned the hard way that guilt can be one of the biggest barriers to our true healing. And that's body, mind, and spirit. All of the healing that we need to do after we've been through difficult circumstances. I know what it's like to make choices from guilt instead of from what truly matters. In my book, Thrive After Breast Cancer, I share stories from many women, including my own. It's when I did just that, rush my healing, ignoring the signs from my body and what it really needed, and learning the painful consequences of letting guilt take the lead. But through these experiences, I discovered something life-changing. When you let your values guide you, not your guilt. If you let your values guide your decisions, you'll heal faster. You'll feel better. You'll be stronger in the end. A few months after treatment, my neighbor invited me to a women's conference. I remember feeling torn. Part of me wanted to say yes, to feel normal again, but I was still feeling weak and not myself, having been through recent surgeries and treatments. But deep down, I knew I wasn't ready. I was still rebuilding my strength emotionally and physically. But I went anyway. I accepted her invitation. Why did I do that? Well, I just didn't want to say no. I don't want to seem ungrateful or weak. I also had a bit of FOMO. First, fear, just fear of missing out. She was my friend and my neighbor. And I was really thrilled that she invited me to go with her and her girlfriends. But once I got there, I felt really out of place. I was insecure and fragile and disconnected from the real world. It kind of feels that way when you've been dealing with healing and trying to get through all of the things that cancer brings to your life. Everyone around me seemed radiant and whole and excited to be there and listen to the speakers. But I was barely holding myself together. I did keep a smile on my face. But that weekend, I realized something crucial. I hadn't made that decision based on what I really valued: peace, rest, authenticity. Those were the things I needed at that moment. But I appreciated my friend's invitation. I accepted based on guilt and insecurity and a need to belong. So when guilt drives the decision, we end up drained instead of restored. When values lead, we feel centered, even if we disappoint someone. Researchers call this emotional narrowing. Guilt and shame actually limit our perspective. It makes us less able to evaluate what's good for us long term. I lived that truth sitting at that conference that day, wishing I had honored my healing instead of forcing my participation. But the hard thing for me was that conference was something I would have thoroughly enjoyed had I been healthy and whole like the rest of the ladies. Well, during a subsequent phase of my healing, I made another guilt-based decision, one that literally sent me tumbling. I was visiting my dad. He was aging and needed lots of help. So I was trying to help him around the house even though my body was still recovering. I wanted my family to see how well I was doing and that I was doing my part. So I pushed myself to do more than I should have. While carrying something down the stairs, I lost my balance and I fell down about 3 stairs. That fall set my healing back significantly. I remember lying there on the stairs feeling the sting of both physical pain and deep emotional regret. I had ignored every signal my body was giving me because I didn't want anyone to see me as a burden. I wanted to be a part of my dad's help. That's the thing about guilt. It whispers lies. That resting is lazy. That slowing down means you're weak. That saying no means you don't care. But guilt never leads to wholeness. It only slows us down even more. That day taught me that decisions rooted in guilt lead to setbacks, not strength. Decisions rooted in values leads to growth, restoration. It's all good. That's when I like to say my heart feels so full when I make decisions that are based on my values. Sometimes other people may not understand your decision when you base it on your own values and not their expectations, but that's okay. So when I finally slowed down and started listening, I began asking myself 3 questions before every major decision, and I still do this to this day. Is this choice aligned with my values? Or is it based on guilt or some other emotion? Will this decision bring peace? Or will it create extra pressure? The third is, am I choosing this decision out of love or out of fear? Asking yourself these three questions can shift everything for you. I learned about this I learned about these 3 questions based on a decisional balance sheet. This is a simple tool that helps weigh choices, not just pros and cons, but it aligns your choices with your beliefs and your goals. This balance sheet has been out for years and years. But it proved very helpful to me, and it helped me come up with those 3 questions. So I began writing out my non-negotiables, my values based on my faith, my health, maintaining peace, my family, my friends. If something conflicted with any of these, it was an automatic no. I didn't owe anyone anything, but I owed myself peace. And you know what happened? My confidence grew. The more I honored my values, the less guilt controlled me. I don't feel guilt anymore. I haven't for years. When you refocus your attention, you deliberately turn your thoughts toward your guiding values, and guilt loses its grip. So how do you put this into practice? If you're facing a tough choice right now, maybe it's about work, maybe it's about family, or maybe it's about your own healing. Pause and ask yourself, does this decision reflect who I truly am, or what matters most right now? What is the benefit to me and to my family? Is this decision consistent with my spirit and what it's trying to teach me about rest, healing, boundaries? Am I making the right decisions to support my values? If you're in a period of recovery or transition, you know that guilt shows up disguised as responsibility. But peace, true, real peace, is a sign you're walking in alignment with your values and with sensible timing. You're not pushing yourself to do something because other people expect it or because you feel guilty. So in closing, guilt tells us to hurry up, to prove ourselves. And that's really not what should be driving us. Values tell us to pause and listen and live in alignment with our truth, with what our values require. When you let your values guide your decisions, peace follows, even when others don't understand. So today, I challenge you to ask yourself before every yes or no, am I choosing this because it aligns with my values, or am I choosing it because I feel guilty or for some other reason? Choose peace and let go of the pressure to meet someone else's expectations, because your healing and your future deserve decisions rooted in love, not in fear. Thank you for joining me for Let Your Values, Not Guilt, Guide Your Decisions. If you're interested in learning more about the simple tool, the Decisional Balance Sheet, which helps you weigh choices based on alignment with your beliefs and goals, leave a message below. I'd love to fill you in and send you some information. If this message encouraged you, share it with another woman who needs permission to slow down and choose differently today, to make decisions based on value. So remember, peace isn't passive. It's a powerful decision made one choice at a time. As always, I'm cheering you on. Have a wonderful day.